It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Vapor Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plots Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Tradition Tree Stands,
and Badass Slingshots.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight on a sweltering weekend and a couple days to come here in Michigan.
Absolutely. I tell you what, it is so much, we are so much feeling like fall.
No, we're not. Where are you at? Feeling like fall.
Okay, I was dreaming.
Hey, wake up, Danny.
Right, exactly.
90-some degrees, man. Today was the fourth day in a row. It was 90 plus.
Isn't this weather supposed to be in July?
It's supposed to be. Actually, the last 3 days has been hotter than any day we've had so far this summer.
Isn't it wild?
It's crazy.
Here we are. Friday was the first first day of fall. Mm-hmm. And here we are, sweltering 90s. We had a great event to go to thinking, hey, that's a good time to have a fall event.
Yeah.
A little warm.
It was warm. Went to a habitat, deer steward, deer co-op / bow shoot / I don't know. It was kind of everything rolled into one.
Balloon sighting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, it hosted by Anna Midderly, and it was good to meet other co-ops. You know, I don't have one. You're part of your co-op, but the whole purpose was for you and to meet the other co-ops, and there was three other co-ops there. Two others.
Yeah, two other ones.
And you know, talking with them, and it's really interesting for me to see the dynamics that we have in this state. From the two co-ops that are from southern Michigan, mm-hmm. your co-op in northern Michigan, and then they don't have any co-ops in the UP.
Seriously, is there no co-ops in the UP?
I asked her. She said no.
Really?
Yeah.
So you trying to start a deer co-op
would be the first of its kind.
Well, you are pretty unique.
I am unique. And I think I could pull it off. I think if I look at the dynamics of the map and figure out where the neighbors are and who's who, I think I could get a decent block of people to do it.
Well, the one thing that I learned when we did the co-op meeting up at Alban back on Labor Day weekend, Anna was there talking about co-ops, how to go from where we're at to something that's a little bit bigger, more organized, and really get it off the ground and running. She said the misconception is that you need to have all your surrounding landowners involved. The properties don't have to be touching each other.
No.
They don't have to be contiguous. We're lucky in the fact that most of our land is contiguous, the people who are involved in it.
Right.
So that's nice. But it doesn't have to be. So, you know, there might be a mile or two between somebody that you might be in a co-op that you start.
Right, exactly. But I think just getting them on board and getting them, like we like to say here, getting them on the bus and pointing it in the right direction.
That's half the battle, getting somebody on a bus, you know, and you're traveling in a direction. You're not specifically stopping at any point, you know, because everybody's going to agree on the same thing.
Never.
You know, your goal might be to shoot 8 points and bigger, and your landowner next to you may say, well, I'm targeting 3.5, 4.5 year old or 5.5, whatever. You know, he might be going by age class where you're going by antler structure. You know, his idea of killing does. You know, his idea of taking does and Doe Management might be a little different than what yours is.
Right, exactly.
So,
well, and then along with that, trying to follow, if you listen to how QDMA we've listened to before and how they said, oh, you got to shoot does, you got to do this. Okay, now you got to follow the laws, mm-hmm. where we can't shoot no does.
That's right, where you're at. That's right.
So it's like, okay, you're tying one hand behind our back.
Right.
So now you can't shoot the does, and now you're telling people, you know, don't shoot. You know, let's try to if we picked, let's target 3-year-olds or better.
Right.
And that might not go over so well.
So let me say this: do you think, or could you shoot a doe on a archery tag up there, or no?
No, you could. It used to be like the old way. If you had archery tags, you could use those as does, doe tags, and you're fine.
Okay.
Now that's been eliminated. It's only allowed in the doe areas, which are basically Menominee County.
Okay.
So as of right now,
so 3 inches or bigger on the antler, right?
Yep.
Okay. So that's all you can shoot.
Or that's if you're on a single one tag, you're allowed one buck. You can take if you go and buy the combo tag, then it's 3-on-1 and 4-on-1.
Okay.
So those are kind of like APRs right off the bat.
Okay.
And typically that's what I do anyways.
Okay.
So I go get that tag, and then I already put myself into that position of APRs.
Okay. All right.
I wish I could shoot a doe because that would be great, but can't do it.
Well, that's the thing we're talking about tonight. A little bit of doe management. We're talking about co-ops, talking about archery season, getting into all that. Charles Byron from Iowa, a couple weeks back, asked us.
Charles started the whole thing with the question.
He had a question about doe management and our thoughts on it. And actually, it kind of surprised me because, I talk about it pretty prevalently. And I don't know, maybe he missed a couple episodes, but I'll be glad to talk about it again.
That's the one thing. Speaking of talking with the other co-ops last night over dinner that we had, which, by the way, Anna, was wonderful. You got to shoot does, but they have people that won't either.
Right. Yep.
So then the other guy was speaking and says, "I'll shoot him, no problem at all."
Right. Yep. Line me up.
Right.
We'll bring people in. We'll shoot them. And that's kind of what we've done at our place too. But getting back to kind of what we did, maybe that's how we ought to kick off the show, is talking a little bit about last night, kind of what went down. She's the liaison between like MUCC, the Michigan United Conservation Club, and the DNR. They worked together and hired her to help co-ops form in Michigan and get off the ground and become successful. And that's kind of, and she's doing some research gathering as well along some different lines. Like next year, we're contemplating on doing a deer browse study up in our neck of the woods. So that's what she does. And being that I've got this, started this co-op up in our area, I was one of the guys that was invited and bring some friends, down to this meeting and have a bow shoot and talk to other co-op leaders. It was a co-op leaders get together.
Yes.
So, we shot shot our bows. And if you look on Facebook, there's an interesting picture there. I thought it was a big balloon shoot.
You did. You were kind of excited when you heard it, but we couldn't see it at first.
Yeah, I kept saying, man, that sounds like a hot air balloon.
And then we heard it and like, oh, yeah, it was. And then, it was really close.
Came right over the top of the trees. Like right overhead.
Yeah, and by the time I got the camera ready, it was actually going higher than the first point we saw.
Right.
But it was one of those things, but...
The guy looked a little nervous when I picked my bow up.
Dude, you had a perfect shot.
Well, I thought it was a balloon pop.
It would have been good.
I was like, I can hit that target.
Right. And then we nothing like shooting at a dinosaur.
My question was, where does one shoot a dinosaur?
Right, exactly.
Where are the vitals in a dinosaur?
They showed them.
So, and then we walked the property. They've got 15 acres there, and took us through and showed us how that land was being managed.
Right, and her acreage, 12 acres, I think, and it's narrow and long. Mm-hmm. So as you're walking the property, I think we were kind of, as she described it, we're basically on the side of the property walking the trails because they got trails through it. Mm-hmm. And the dynamic with the trails running through it and everything and how you get to the back of the property gets thicker. That's kind of nice, really nice. And she did say they never see any of their bigger bucks up towards the front of the property. They only see the smaller ones.
Right. Hey, shout out to Phil Smith. He was there with us last night. He just signed on.
Hey, Phil.
Shout out.
Nice meeting you last night.
Yeah. So, so we got to see how she was kind of managing the property, some of the goals that she had in her mind of what she wanted to do moving forward, and things to plant, things to get rid of, and things of that nature.
Well, that was neat too, right? She's got all those fruit trees. Mm-hmm. She's got all the other trees she was talking about, wanting to get rid of this stuff, adding that stuff. Mm-hmm.
And that's what it boils down to when you're a landowner, or if you've got land that you lease and you're able to do something with it, but more specifically a landowner where you're able to to change the dynamics of what your property looks like and how the animals interact with it. You know, kind of like what we're doing and what you're doing. You know, you just completed your logging project. We're in the middle of our phase 3 of ours,
right?
You know, of a timber harvest, and you know, and then now we're in that replanting. We're dealing with oak wilt. We're dealing with spruce bud disease on the property for the spruce trees. And, you know, if you don't take care of it, Mother Nature will do her part, and she'll take care of it for you.
Mother Nature will do it in various ways.
But you may not like the way it turns out.
Absolutely. So. But she did mention that she had not written a plan for her property yet. But it sounded like that's where they're heading. But
and you just got yours back, right?
I just got my verification letter a couple weeks back that says, thumbs up, you're good to go, you're in.
Okay.
So now I got my plan in place. So now I just have to follow the plan for the next 20 years, and we'll call it good.
All right.
And I'm good with that. And you know what? Just a couple weeks out here, we'll be heading up for bow season. So I'm kind of excited to see what the plantings that I did do worked out, or did they have enough rain?
See, that scares me, because right now, I mean, you look around here, I mean, look at how stressed the trees are right now.
They are stressed in our area here. Right?
You know,
in southern Michigan,
there's going to be no color.
Did you see, and you noticed, and here we are mid-September, and those farmers last night, they're pulling their crops off.
Already, yeah.
Yeah, you know, they're getting while the getting's good because it was dry. Those beans were dry.
It is bone dry right now. We've not had rain here, I bet you, in a month. We planted our food plots got planted at our place, our fall crops, Labor Day week, not that Monday. I left Monday out, and it was like Thursday or Friday, I believe. So really at the end of the first week of September. So we're, 3 weeks, 2 weeks out? Yep. 2 weeks out now. There's been no rain.
Well, speaking of it, just in Michigan now, we've seen Chris Brackett posted a picture of a kill food plot that he works on. Basically, the plants are about this tall and
very few. There's more dirt in between than there is plants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he even said, water's killing me here.
It's we might have a tough time this fall feeding deer.
Matter of fact, one of the guys last night said that he went out and refilled his little watering hole that he has out in the woods.
Okay.
Because it isn't holding water.
Well, that's the other thing, you know, the dynamics of, we're dealing with right here in our home county right now is EHD.
Oh, yeah. We just got an email this week, I think.
You know, the dry weather here, we've got a confirmed case of EHD here in Genesee County. We don't know where the deer is in the county that it was found, and that's kind of concerning. Is it here? Is it over near the park? Is it, more up in the northern part of the county?
Is it north?
Where did they find it at? And is there going to be a bigger outbreak of this?
Right, and with the weather the way it's going, the next few days, it could spike a little bit more because we're expected 3-4 more days of heat.
Well, it just makes me wonder when we're actually going to get some rain.
Good luck. Wednesday?
Well, we need it on the food plots. I do know that. So, but I tell you what, we're bumping up here on our first break. We're going to step outside. We kind of laid the foundation of what we're going to talk about tonight for the next 3 segments, and we'll come back and we'll kind of dive into this Doe Management question that Charles Bryan brought to us from Iowa. So we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show, talking a little bit about the fact that we have no rain. It's hot.
It's hot.
We got EHD in the county.
We haven't switched over to our cold weather drinks. Still.
No, you're still bringing ices over. I like
Right.
that. Yeah. But I still like my coffee, though.
Well, I know you do, but it's not 90-degree weather.
Right on. Okay. Jason Radecki, he just posted on here talking about rain up north, up near Hillman. They got up near Hillman. They had to actually stop the football game because of rain. Yeah, Hillman is just north of our property, about 30 miles.
Right.
And I seen that storm coming through, and when I was looking at it, I kind of blew it up, and I'm looking. I was like, man, we're right there. And
Maybe not.
it might have rained on everything north of my food plot. And maybe my food plot south thing, is still dry. So
There
I don't
you
know.
go. See,
It was close. So I'm
I
hoping.
don't know. Last week, matter of fact, when we did have thunderstorms come through our area here,
Yeah,
lightning and everything all around,
yeah.
it stayed north and never hit me.
Never rained.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like
That's crazy.
it was.
Yeah,
So,
I was coming home that night. It rained just a little bit in town, but man, as I come out here, the lightning was popping and no rain.
right. Exactly. It. You don't get those fronts to come through like you get a band of it. No, it's like hit and miss, and when it misses,
Yeah, popcorn showers.
right. Exactly.
But yeah. Anyway, we got another person in here, new to the show, William Burns. Hey, appreciate you chiming in here. It says he had lots of rain here in Alpena. Good deal. Hopefully it was down in Alcona County, because I know we were starving for it down
Right.
there.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, we had a guy in camp bear hunting. This week was bear season here in Michigan, archery season. Or no, not archery season. It was bear rifle
it
season.
was bear season.
And he was up last weekend and this weekend. He spent 4 days on stand and took his bear last night. They recovered it this morning. But it was the only bear seen in 4 days. 4 days of hunting.
And
It's
you know
because
what?
of the heat.
I was just about to say, I wonder if it was because of the heat, because 8, 9 o'clock in the morning when it's getting that warm, they're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to move.
No. Actually, we put a picture over on our Facebook page. Chad took his 276-pound black bear with the killer food plot suffuse blueberry attractant
Exactly.
that he was using out in the field. So I want to hear the story and figure out kind of how he used it and everything. So
We'll have to get him on the show.
Yeah, we want to talk to him.
We'll talk with him, find out how he used the killer food plots. Congratulations to him, because being the one bear that they did get, I'm surprised. Obviously, weather, because you had more than one bear on camera.
yeah, they were hitting the baits pretty hard, and then all of a sudden we got this warm weather and bang, it shut down.
Right.
So-
And in the picture, it's kind of funny. He's even in shorts, you can tell. It's
Right,
like,
yeah.
it's like, it's probably pretty warm and buggy out there.
Absolutely. So
But it's one of those things. Weather, I know in the UP over by us earlier in the year, which was affecting the logging project, we had record amounts of rain.
we had a lot of rain back in the spring too, because our logging project actually got postponed because of the rain.
Right.
Now we're going to wait until December.
So now I'm wondering, as we go into the fall here, I don't know if it dried up. I don't know if they still got the rain.
Right.
If it's cooler up there than it is down here, which I think it is. But it's just again the dynamic of this state.
It's crazy.
This year, the UP up by me was underwater. Mm-hmm. You had tons of water, and down here's dry.
Well, looking at the fall, we talked about your place of where you're not able to take does. Was it last year you said that your fawn recruitment wasn't very good?
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
It was zero.
Okay.
Basically, they estimated it at zero.
Okay.
Last year it was better. They were 30-40%, and then this year they were looking at way better.
Okay, I want to kind of dive into this. We talked about this question going into the break about Doe Management and some of the different theories and philosophies and kind of my thinking on what we do or what I want to do, and something that I've kind of keyed in on here the last 2 or 3 years, and I haven't really practiced it per se, but I'm thinking more about it this year.
Okay.
And it's got to do with fawn recruitment. It's got to do with making sure that the right nutrition is getting to the right deer. And especially now that we have warm weather, no rain, less food plots out there that we're worried about and getting that nutrition to our fawns and to our mature bucks and our does that
And
that
also,
had to nurse all year.
And also, I think a little bit of education we're learning from these seminars and different things we're hearing, like the 1/3 number, to take 1/3 of it, to take
1/3 of your doe population just to manage, keep numbers
right
even,
yes.
even for the year.
So if you have 100, you need to take 33.
Yeah, and and we do deer counts at our property, and right now we've been averaging right around that 150 has been the magic number. From one end of the property to the other. And that's just visual sight from walking from one spot to the other. And with that number, we've talked about it. It's like we know we're seeing more than 2-to-1 ratio of does to bucks.
Right.
So, 33 does. I mean, last year we took 24, and and people were really worried. It's like, man, did we take too many? There's been no reduction. We're seeing as many deer now as we saw last year.
And you know what? And I think that might be a good topic of conversation if it ever gets you guys sitting down up there. Just kind of, throw that question out there. Say, hey, guys, last year we took 24. Are we seeing any dents?
No, not really. The only thing we're not seeing this year is we're not seeing the fawn recruitment. We've had a terrible time with predation up there. We found quite a few carcasses of fawns. We have a strong indication it's bear, number one, and coyotes. And we know that there's bobcat in the area as well. But, we really think the bear, we've got a fair number of bear around the area. And we're thinking that they're really taking a toll on our fawn recruitment here this year. So, seeing more of them on trail camera, seeing about the same amount of coyotes as we have in the past. So, I don't think there's any, increase or decrease in that. But, the fawn recruitment this year is not seeing the fawns that we normally see. But just sheer number of deer, we haven't seen a drop in them. So now going into this year, thinking ahead, looking at, okay, so we don't have as many fawns. Okay, it's not going to be as critical about what I'm about to say. But thinking ahead about, we always seem to see second and third rut or second and third cycle fawns, being born, in that second and third drop. So that means all of our does are not getting serviced. Too many does, okay, and we know that. So if we're going to shoot does, instead of leaving them on the property, letting them plow through the food plots, letting them eat all that nutrition up, and then not having that extra nutrition on the ground for later in the year when bucks are trying to recover, when all they've done is exhausted themselves for first cycle rut, and then you got the second rut. We're trying to break that third rut and get rid of that completely. I mean, that's the first goal. Yep. If we can get rid of that, they're exhausted. Their nutrition is just drained. They're undernourished, and that's when you start losing these bigger bucks during a hard winter. Why not start taking does during bow season, getting them off the food plots, getting them out of there so they're not eating that nutrition. You're not feeding that doe for an extra 2, maybe 3 months.
Right, exactly. And, it could be, we'll just say, you wait till muzzleloader season in Michigan. That's in December. So from October, that's 2 months of them feeding on nutrition that could actually go to a buck that you could help make through the winter.
Or your fawns.
Yep. So, and that's where I like knowing a little bit of the numbers game, right? Okay, so to maintain 100, you need a third. You need to take a third. Okay. Now you throw that into it, right? Okay, so to help them get through the winter, well, if I take my does early, get that out of the way, knowing I've got my meat.
Right.
And then, okay, now I've also saved, and I wonder what the number is, how much a deer eats per day.
5 pounds.
5 pounds.
5 pounds of forage on average a day.
So 5 times 3 is 130 days. That's 150 pounds.
Yeah.
300 pounds of food.
Yeah.
You've saved for 2 months. If you take them into October, you've saved 300 pounds of food for
another deer.
A future buck, a little of deer to get through the winter.
Yeah, or a yearling doe.
Right.
And talking about, harvesting doe. Killing does. I got that stuck in my head. Harvesting.
Yes, you do. You really got that stuck.
But if we're talking about, going out and shooting X amount of doe, which ones are we targeting? There's a theory out there about shooting a doe that has twin buck fawns.
Yes.
There's that theory, and I understand it. I haven't got my head completely wrapped around it just yet. because usually those are 1.5, 2.5-year-old does, and we're supposed to be shooting our older does, our matriarch does, that will typically produce two doe fawns,
right,
versus a 1-to-1 ratio. But when we get into that first that 1.5, 2.5-year-old, more times than not they'll produce twin buck fawns. And there's what they call buck dispersal. Coming around that year after they're born, when it comes time for them to start going into cycle and breeding, they will push those bucks away from him, kick them out of the family group, and they'll just what's called disperse. They'll leave the area, the core area, and go find a new core area and start doing their own thing. Well, you've raised that deer for a year. You've put in all that food on the ground for them. You give them all the cover, everything you're doing on your property. And now you're going to let somebody else go shoot them.
And now Mother Nature takes care of it and says, "Hey, mom." By Mother Nature says you're out of here.
Yep.
So it's like, wait a minute, how do you stop that?
So if we're shooting a doe that's producing twin buck fawns, do we let her live that extra year to have that opportunity maybe to have twin buck fawns again? Or do you take her and get her out of there?
Just get her out of there, because then there'll be a different doe in the area who won't kick those bucks out of there.
See, that's the thing I just don't understand yet. I'm still trying to wrap my head around.
I tell you, it's just not going out with your bow, gun, practicing. This is the science behind the thinking, right? It's almost that you're out there and you start thinking this through, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Do I really want to take that doe with $2? Maybe I'll get $2 next year, or do I just let it go and take the doe itself and leave the $2?
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. It really is. But I mean, definitely, I guess the biggest thing I'm looking forward to this year, bow season. If I get an opportunity to shoot a mature buck, that's done. There's no question about that.
That's the bonus.
But the other thing I'm looking at is trying to target a couple older does, putting some meat in the freezer, getting them off my food plot, and saving what little food is there, unless we get some rain, saving that for other deer.
Right, exactly. And that 300 pounds of food is one deer. That's
one deer. Okay, now you take that. Well, if you don't have food plots, well, now they're eating natural browse. One way or another, they're looking for that 5 pounds of food. Per day. And right now our browse line's high.
Yes.
On our property, all over the area. I mean, the deer up there during the winter, we're the only place really that has food plots around. So the deer congregate in our area. When them food plots are wiped out, or when the ground freezes and they're locked in, they can't get to it. They're mowing everything between head high in the ground.
Yep, exactly.
That's palatable. So,
and even last night, Anna saw it, and she pointed out a plant that was heavily browsed.
Yeah. Yep. I can't remember if it was the dogwood or not, but
right. And she says, "Look at that."
There was different species she was run through showing what deer eat on, and and that's one of the things that she held a workshop last year up at another co-op. A friend of mine had started up near Hillman, and he invited us up to his property. I got to go up there for the deer browse study and learn a lot, just in that one afternoon. So, and that's why I'd like to have one down in our area, just so it gives you a better idea as a hunter what to look for. What are some of the signs that your property is overbrowsed, or maybe it's not overbrowsed. Maybe everything's in check, but what do deer eat on? What species do they prefer at different times of the year?
Right, exactly. So, and it's just all this goes into it.
Absolutely.
And it's and then you got, okay, so what's your mass crop doing? Was your acorn crop good this year? With all the rain in the spring, did we get a good acorn? Are we going to get a good acorn drop?
Right. And it's going to be early because the trees are stressed because of no water right now. I don't know. I don't know those answers.
When I take my dogs for a walk now, I'm seeing a bunch of acorns on the ground.
Are you?
Yeah. And it's like, Now down here where it's very dry,
right,
kind of starting to think that's the reason why.
Right.
They're our trees are dropping and saying, we're done.
Right.
So,
well, I tell you what, we're going to step outside. We're going to take another break here real quick. We come back, we'll continue the conversation along these lines. And actually, you've got a website you want to show some people
too. We talk about management. Mm-hmm. Let's see how our DNR gets into management.
All right, so we come back. For those of you on the podcast, you're going to have to actually tune into the live stream in this in the third segment and check out what Danny's about to show us here. So we'll be right back after this.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, everybody. Third segment of the show.
Third segment of the show.
Danny's going to illustrate for us here.
This is kind of neat. I'm starting.
You like that, don't you?
I like this.
Got the big monitor going.
I just don't have the big pointer thing.
Yeah. What do you want me?
Hold on. Oh.
There you go.
There we go. All right. Because a laser pointer won't work. You need green laser.
Right.
But anyways, talking about managing in the second segment of the show. My cousin Brian sent me a website from the DNR.
Okay.
And we talk about, in Michigan, we have all our DMUs, and you're up in 452, and I'm over in 036, and you can see right here, you can see on the live broadcast, you'll be able to see the screen. In the podcast, what I have up on the screen is from our DNR, the DMU management info. And what this is kind of really cool, is you can click on the individual DMU units for the state of Michigan, and what it'll do, it'll pop up in a PDF format.
So every DMU on the map is clickable.
Yes.
So you could click on our home county, you can click on your area.
See, and
okay,
and there it pops up.
So Deer Management 36 is your unit.
That's
in UP.
Me, and you're in 452. 452,
yep, or 487, the whole area.
Right. So if you wanted to, we could even go down here to Genesee County, click on us.
Okay.
036, which I've just clicked on here, and what this also is, it shows you the Northwest 12.
Okay.
And then you got the 487 over by you. It's got the outlined
the CWD zones, the two hot zones.
Right. So looking at yours over in 452, you can click on this, and it'll give you the DMU 452 Northern Multi-County Deer Management Unit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mouthful. And what it does is it tells you, it gives you an area description, and it even tells you in here what soil types. Range from sandy types.
Yeah, sand.
like you didn't know that, right?
Sand and swamp.
Are well-drained to poorly drained muck.
Yep.
So agricultural lands, blocks of public land, and it tells you in the eastern part, large hunt clubs are dominated by forest and provide excellent habitat for deer. So then you scroll through this, and then it'll give you guidance. One goal guides the deer management in this DMU is TB.
Yep.
That's what's guiding this specific DMU unit. And it gives you a little description. Sustained antler harvest should occur to keep deer populations from expanding. So they want to keep
They want to reduce population.
Right. When you scroll through this little presentation that they have here, this right here, this shows the state of Michigan, and this shows all TB positive tested deer. Mm-hmm. And dairy and the beef. Okay,
and the cattle herds. That's
right.
Those are herds.
So,
so 50 beef cattle herds and 14 dairy cattle herds have been tested positive.
Right,
and
then they've got in deer, and in deer they've got 759. Mm-hmm. But if you look at this, look at how over here in Oscoda, Mecosta, Shiawassee, we've got some TB. Mm-hmm. Actually, we've got some TB over here in the thumb. Mm-hmm. Over there, over by Traverse City area.
And cattle herds, yep.
Yep. So, it's just not limited to deer, right?
Well, that's why they call it bovine TB.
You got it. So, and then you just kind of walk through this, and this tells you the prevalence of bovine TB, and they have a 95% confidence. in this, and it looks like from 2014 to 2015, the study was done. There was a little spike in TB.
Yeah, I think last year we heard numbers should be falling back down off of the 2015 numbers.
The only thing this doesn't say is if that was in deer or was that in cattle.
Adult whitetail deer.
Adult whitetail. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So you had a little spike in 2015.
Yeah. Now these numbers are taken from people who voluntarily take their deer in to be tested. Mm-hmm. They'll take them into a deer check station and have them checked.
Give them their head, and then they'll have them checked. Population assessment factors. This is the one that's talking us about the antler harvest to the deer harvest, the buck harvest. Mm-hmm. And it shows you that right now, currently, our
antlers numbers are down from our buck harvest, but they were between about 2000 and roughly 2008-ish to 2014. They were pretty much in line together, pretty close.
Right, it was, and all of a sudden now we're starting to see a trend. They're starting to separate again.
Yeah, and I don't know what's causing that. I know we did our part at our camp. Maybe I don't know what to speculate about that or as to why those numbers are separating again.
They talk about disease control permits here.
Right.
It says here that the number of deer taken on disease control permits has remained at a low level compared with the number of tags available to fill, and has no lasting impact on the size of the overall herd.
Say it again.
So the participation in the program has varied, regardless of the availability. The number of deer taken on these disease control permits
on those disease permits
has remained low compared with the number of tags available to fill. And it's saying it has no lasting impact on the size of the deer herd. So they're kind of saying the permits they're giving out and the numbers
not doing any good.
They're not doing any good.
Right.
They're not using them. So
could that be because nobody knows about? I didn't know that they were doing disease control permits. How do you get them? Do those go to farmers, or do they go to landowners in general?
It's farmers. Farmers are provided with a tool to address deer.
Okay, so the farmers got these tags. Farmers are busy. Farmers don't have time to shoot the deer.
Available to farmers and landowners near
TB infected.
BTB infected farms.
Okay, we're not near a farm, so we're not going to be able to get them.
Right.
But answer this question for me: How many times, generally speaking, does a farmer give permission and say, "Hey, here's a bunch of tags. Go fill them. Go kill these deer on my property"?
You hear crickets?
Exactly.
Right.
I think that's probably more of the issue.
Right. Exactly.
So,
and then at the end of the report, it'll tell you what the recommendations are.
Yeah.
And given 452 is multi-counted, created, it is recommended that public and private land antlerless availability remain liberal in DMU. Encouraging the harvest of deer in this unit remains very important.
Well, we know we've, at least on a local level where I'm at, we've got too many deer on the property, and the ratios are out of whack.
Right, exactly, and you can see it walking your property. That's
look at like I say, all you got to do is look at the browse line, and you can tell if you've got too many deer for your property.
Absolutely.
So
you'll see that in a heartbeat. So, and then you click on my unit, and here's my unit here. This one's interesting because it does actually tell you, unlike yours, mine's got a weather statement in here. Talking about the snowfalls, record-setting colds during most winters will be confined to the deer wintering. Winter losses can be significant. Antlerless harvest has received limited support since the numbers dropped more than 80% following 95 and 96. I remember those years, and they were bad.
That's 20 years ago.
And they haven't come back, and that's why Mississippi State was called in to figure out why numbers have not rebounded like they should have.
Right.
So that's why the predation study was formed.
What came back in?
And it looks like predation's up.
Yeah, what was reintroduced to the area?
Right. Now this is it's telling me that the typical bucks killed per square mile is 1.1.
That sounds low.
Antlerless deer licenses have only been offered once in the past 10 years.
Because of the big die-off.
Right, that's what they're saying, yes.
Okay.
And it says archery hunters did most of their antlerless deer.
Okay.
Deer killed by square mile. Look at 06 was
1. They're all ones.
Yeah.
Until you get to 14 and 15.
Less, right?
Yeah.
This was interesting. They did a camp survey. I was never invited to this one. 28 camps, 119 hunters, observed 1.9 deer per hunter day. So in a day, you went out and you saw less than 2 deer.
Not at your place.
Not at our place.
Your producer's laughing.
Yes, she's laughing. We saw, I think all of us saw deer within the first 20 minutes. Oh, yeah. And we were in 4 different spots on the property. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, hold on. And then it says low fawn to doe ratios during the same period. 48 fawns per 100 does.
So you've got less than half a fawn per doe.
After the mild winter of 2016, it was 70 to 100.
Okay.
So it's on the rise.
Okay.
But our buck kill was down. So yeah,
So if you're hunting in Michigan, you can kind of go through and check your area.
You can check this area out and go through this
and see how they're managing those DMUs.
Right.
And the reasons why. So
this is a great little tool if you want to do if you're planning on coming to Michigan, or if you're in Michigan and you want to try a different area, you can go in here and they'll kind of tell you and give you some information, topography on this one. No public hunting in the areas in this county.
No, there's not any public land at all.
No, there isn't.
Not one square foot of public land in Genesee County.
Right. So, this one has a map. I think did mine have a map? You want to know about deer vehicle collisions in the UP?
There you go.
What are we at? Oh, not many compared to other places. Oh, beam diameter. See, this one's got a lot more than what yours had.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
Pretty cool. Right there.
So you think it's a pretty useful tool?
I think it's good information put out by our DNR, so people can go and, because they always have that question. Well, how did they come up with that?
Right.
At least this is information saying, this is how we did it.
Right.
Here's the reports. This is where we're getting our numbers from.
This is why we're issuing this many doe permits in this area, or we're not issuing any, or we're giving the farm away, like in our area. Right,
exactly. So as a communication tool, I think this is great. It's something out there. It's on the web that everybody can get to in the DNR website. So it's a great tool, and I'm glad my cousin showed this to me because I think it's really good information. It's trying to close that loop between the public and DNR, not the NRC. That's a different.
That's a different beast.
Yeah, that's a different beast.
Right.
But it's their best hope at communication.
Right.
And that's one key thing that we got to get down is communication.
Right. I gotcha. Well, I'll tell you what. Hang on one second here. I'm losing my mind over here. I'm unplugging stuff left and right. You know what? We're due for our last break here. Let's take our last break. We come back. We'll wrap up the show for tonight and we'll talk a little more about this doe management and deer management here in the state of Michigan. We'll be right back after this.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet. I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show, everybody. putting up with the end of a hot week here in Michigan, sitting here complaining about no rain, sitting here complaining about too hot, sitting here complaining. Do we complain too much about when we're our deer hunting? I mean, generally speaking, in Michigan, do we complain too much? You think? I mean, they're wanting to change. They're wanting to change the hunting day for rifle season, the opening day, November 15th. November 15th here in the state of Michigan is Christmas with guns. You've heard me say it before.
Just like October 20th.
Exactly. It's the same thing.
I know.
It's the same thing. But now there's legislation somebody put forth wanting to change it to the Saturday nearest the 15th, which, in that case, would give Michigan hunters 3 full weekends of rifle season in Michigan.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Right, because they would whatever that Saturday was, they would count 16 days.
Yep.
So, well, other states have had it for. Wisconsin's been the same opener day for years.
Doesn't Ohio their bow season opens the last Saturday of September?
Last Saturday of September.
Right.
That's when it opens.
Right.
Whether it be the 30th or
24th.
24th. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no. Interesting that they put that out there. I'm sure it'll be interesting if it passes. But do we complain too much?
Yeah.
Really? It depends on who you talk to. I know guys, they get bucks every year. They're happy. They get deer every year. They're happy. Other people complain they don't see a deer. Mm-hmm. The state's all screwed up.
Some people, they complain. We see too many deer. We see too many does. Everything's screwed up. DNR not counting deer right. We need mandatory deer checks. You've heard me say that. We should bait. We should not bait. I mean, all these different rules. And they're trying, and then you've got the NRC on the backside not taking the recommendations the DNR wants to give them to make the changes necessary to make our hunting and habitat and herds better.
Right.
So, price of tags too high, pay too much.
We had this discussion last night. We had a little time on our hands driving.
Yep.
I did see where somebody complained that their licenses are going up all the time. Well. I think a deer license is $15.
You pay $10 for your base tag, so $25.
The base is $11.
There's $26,
which includes small game.
Yeah, that gives you a small game license.
And then you have to pay, or is it $20?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
something like that.
Well, anyways, $30 to $40.
Yeah, yep,
for a license. I think there's some other states that are a little bit more expensive.
Well, you and I had talked about this. We were talking about that drive we took last night.
Yep.
Going to that meeting. This is something I want to do, and I've done this before. I've looked in other states at what tags cost residents in those states, as well as me as an out-of-state resident. It's important to know before you go. But Michigan's still one of the cheapest states to hunt in. Right. As a resident, maybe even as a non-resident.
It might be a little. Well, really. And then think about it, you say that, but then you realize that you probably could go into your area right there and pick up a doe permit.
We buy them day of.
Right.
Yeah, over the counter. Last year when the kids from Indiana come up to help us do our Doe Management hunt, they bought their tags on the way up here, I think, in a couple instances the kids did, or they got them online like that week before.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like 40,000 tags still available over the counter, right. It's something incredible number. It was just ridiculous.
I think it's just, in my case, I want to try to do the best I can for my outdoors, for my property.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Right.
That's what bugs me.
Right.
That's what my complaint is, right?
Right.
Because I'm in an area, I have less deer. They don't give me doe permits, so I can't shoot more does to bring my buck ratio up or buck to doe ratio. It's like.
Do you see second and third rut fawns being born? In the
you
summer?
know what?
Do you see like three distinct times that fawns are being born?
I really don't.
Do you?
You might get
during bow season. Do you see little fawn? I'm not talking like newborn fawns.
No. But
do you see fawns with spots on them?
Not typically.
Okay, so it's not that widespread.
Well, I think the theory is that they might have gotten eaten by then.
Right.
But I'll be looking for that this year.
Okay.
Because now that we've talked about it enough, it'll be like we'll have to watch that. But typically we do. You will see. I've seen them. Not on our place typically, but might have one, but not really.
Okay.
It's It's few and far between if we do.
Okay.
Not like you guys. You guys, it's
it's really odd. I mean, you see 3 distinct age classes of fawns every year.
Right.
This year we're not seeing very many at all. But what I'm saying is, it's just like, you got a fawn, and you got a fawn here, and you got a fawn here. There's just the body structure. The size, the sheer size of them. You can tell.
Right.
One's a month older than that one, or 2 months older than that one.
Matter of fact, we got a fawn. She's lost her spots, but she's in the backyard. She's really small, but I want to say that's her genetics, because last year there's a couple of deer that are just okay. I'm going to say it. They're short.
Here'd be the thing to do is, okay, start documenting when you see the first fawns. Like, okay, we've seen one fawn, May 27th.
Usually
that last week of May, first week of June, somewhere in there when they start to drop. Start looking around and maybe on a calendar or something, making a mental note. And then all of a sudden, then you've got 2 or 3. Then all of a sudden, you may have 3. Then all of a sudden, bang! Here comes another one, and it's smaller a month later. 3-4 weeks later.
Was it June we saw our first fawns this year? May.
I thought it was May.
Yeah. Usually we see them. We typically by July 4th we see fawns. This year I think we saw them early, because I think they had them right in the back. That's another thing, is where they're having them, if they're close enough by.
Right, and where they're hiding them and where they're bringing them out, when they're bringing them out. Yeah, so.
Because you can walk into the woods and you can see enough, you'll see them standing there.
Right.
That's another thing that just boggles my mind, is the communication they have.
Mm-hmm.
I was out there and I saw the doe with the fawn, and they were standing like right next to each other. I turned my back, and that doe was still there, and that fawn was gone. It's like, okay, what did you tell her?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Get
out of here.
Well, lay down and shut up, right?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
So, but no. Do we complain too much? It's yes and no.
Do you think most of the complaining that we hear and see online, is it complaining because we care, or is it complaining because people just like to complain and argue?
Usually the complaining is because you have a passion for it.
If it's a well thought out argument.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you going to get the as we call them, trolls? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just just because they can sit in mom's basement and get trolling. But I think it's and you see this when we talk to Lincoln. He gets passionate.
Oh yeah.
We've talked to Kevin at Cabela's, and he's afraid to come on the show because he's going to get passionate about it, and he might lose it. And we told him that's what it's for.
Yep. Yep.
But I think it's a drive of passion within yourself, and I think that goes for anything.
Oh, we see a lot of that right now going on across the United States. Right. We've seen it today on the football field. I'm not going to get into that, but that's,
you see passion.
Both sides. People care deeply about what they're talking about, and debate is good. And it's like my whole mindset of doe management or deer management or, just hunting in general has changed so much since I started the podcast. You go back and you listen to the first 2 or 3, 4 years of this show compared to the last 3 or 4 years of this show, and how my mind is changed. I mean, I listened. I've done a lot of listening. I've listened to educators, people who study this. I mean, it's their job. They're deer biologists.
You sit down and listen to a Kip Adams, or you listen to Dr. Kroll.
Grant Woods, any of those guys.
The videos you did with him, which was just a couple hours, and the knowledge by watching those videos you could soak in.
Yeah.
It just was wow.
It's mind blowing.
And I think, and we've talked about this with other people, that I think the people nowadays are getting more in. It's just not becoming that. Yep, it's November 14th. Pick up the gun, pick up a box of shells, head up north, go hunting.
You're right.
It's becoming a little bit more to people.
It's a passion.
It's becoming a passion.
Or as we say at Mossy Oak, it's an obsession.
It is.
But it is. It's ingrained in us. When I started this podcast 10 years ago, I never, ever thought, I loved hunting, don't get me wrong, but I never, ever thought I would be into it as much as I am now, where I eat, sleep, and breathe hunting, 24/7, 365. It's ingrained in me, and I can't get enough of it, and I just want to know more. I'm constantly trying to find more information, but, and and some people will poo-poo some of the organizations and things and say,
well,
well, they're in it for the money, or they're driving a product. Just open your mind enough to listen.
Yeah.
And then, okay, take a little bit from over here, and then go over to this group or this biologist. Listen over here. Does it match up with what this guy over here is saying? Find somebody else. Start listening around. Find out who employs them. Find out what their agendas are. Okay? Because they're out there. But I'm not saying agendas are bad. Sometimes their agendas are to make our deer healthier and our herds better. Listen to them.
I just went to a conference this week, and it was in my field of automotive.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day was awesome. Learned different things, a lot about different companies. But the second day was half-hour presentation by different companies. And basically, two companies can do the same thing, but my way is better than your way.
Right. You get into destinations, but you're going two different routes.
Right. We get to here by doing it this way. We get to there doing it, and my way is better than everybody else's.
Right.
It's a big sales pitch.
Right.
You got to know what they're selling. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like one did a really good sales pitch, but then you come to realize, they've only gotten barely a foot on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Their technology, it's like it's gonna be hard to put it into our space.
Right.
But yeah, you got to look at the agendas and what everybody's buying, selling.
Well, it's just like the Doe Management we were talking about earlier. Okay, we're going to kill X amount of does. 1/3 of our does population just to maintain our current status of doe, our deer herd number. Do you shoot most of them in the bow season, or do you wait and use them as lures for the bucks and then kill them in muzzleloader season? You're getting to the same end goal of eliminating does, but it's how you're getting there and which is better. Each one has its valid points.
Exactly.
What works for you?
Yep.
So yeah, but yeah, I'm just saying, listen a little bit, open your mind, listen to different people. I don't have all the answers. All I'm doing is regurgitating information that I've learned.
That's
all I'm doing.
We're just taking what we're hearing, and we're not coming up with something on our own.
Yeah, trying to apply this to the places we hunt.
Got a question from a listener.
Okay.
How about we change gears a little bit?
All right. Yeah, we got just a few minutes here. We'll wrap up the show.
A friend of mine, just before the show, got a hold of me and asked, now you got a crossbow last year.
Yes.
What broadheads were you shooting?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't use it. My dad used it.
That's why. Did you remember what broadheads he used?
Oh.
Were they the G5s?
I think they're the G5 T3. Expandable 150 grain.
Okay.
Broadhead.
All right.
I think that's what I went with.
All right. Jim, answering your question, if you like fixed or you like expandables, I use the T3s, the crossbow Ed Edition. I've had no problems with those coming out of the crossbow. 150 grain or 125 or 100. If you want to go with a fixed blade, G5 has got the titanium,
the Montec.
Montex, thank you.
That's what I shoot.
That's a good fixed blade right here, Michigan made company. So it's a real preference. You'll hear people say yes to expandables, no to expandables.
I think most crossbow shooters are going with a heavier broadhead.
Yeah.
150 grain. I mean, out of my bow, my compound bow, I'm shooting 100 grain.
Oh, we could get into that whole FOC thing too.
Yeah, well, I think we need to have Chris Schnur on to talk about that.
But anyways, Jim, talking about crossbows. Yeah, definitely. I'd go with the T3. Good Michigan company. I've never had them fail.
There you go.
So just make sure they're the crossbow ones. Don't ever find them.
Yep. Use the crossbow version.
Yeah, because the springs are different than the regular bow versions.
There you go.
So that was a question we had. Let's see. We talked Doe Management, Charles Byram question.
Mm-hmm.
Jim with a broadhead question.
Covered your DMU map.
Covered my DMU map.
You got to telestrate here on the board.
I loved it.
Yeah. All right.
So Sunday, 1 week from today, is the opener for Michigan bow hunting.
And I won't be in the woods.
Neither will I.
Yeah.
Because next Saturday, we're going to be at Cabela's.
In Chesterfield, Michigan.
Yes. You and I are going to be doing some seminars.
Yep.
We're going to be talking, off the top of my head, I think it's
Bow 101.
Bow 101, game cameras.
Early season tactics. Stuff like that. So
we're going to be down there from 11. Well, we'll be down there.
We'll be down there all day.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but if you're not going to be out in the woods on Sunday, or you want to come down and visit us, please do.
Yeah, absolutely. Stop on down, and we'll help you out whatever you got. So I think I might be taking my rig down and having. Before we go, camling. Yesterday we were shooting our bows down at the little get together, and for the co-op leaders, Danny had your bow, you had the shim moved to the other side to take the camlean out of your bow, and I've never really I've heard of camlean. I didn't understand the whole science behind it, but when I seen your bow shoot after you had the adjustment made compared to what mine does, like you said, we've always tried to fix that by moving the rest and adjusting the rest and not really messing with camlean. And PSC has these shims that you can move from one side or the other of the cam to adjust this out. Your arrow, when I watched your arrow fly, it was like a bullet. It was as straight could be. And it was amazing. And mine it kicks. I know probably when I do a paper tune, I'm going to have a tear.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it because it comes out of my bow and kicks.
Yep. And I tell you what, we did it with my bow and we did it with Kelly's bow, our producer, and it was just last night was the first night that I really haven't shot it since I did that. I just did it really quickly to get my sights where I was going. Mm-hmm. But you're right. It's like, wow.
I was blown away at the difference because you said your bow shot like mine.
Yeah,
before that.
Yep.
And when you looked at my bow and did the check,
yep,
it had the same lean.
It's got the same lean to it.
So,
but it's not wrong. That's people when you understand that it's not wrong. It's within their specs of the bow.
Yeah.
Now it's you to go in or have somebody tune it in for you.
But that's part of the tuning process. Exactly. Setting the rest up, setting your bow up properly. So
I tell you what, and this is a shout out to Dan, now Chris, and Ashley. Ever since we met Dan in January, we've been on a whirlwind of education about
bows. The science,
not the science part of it, not just science. Bows.
Yeah, the science behind archery.
Right. Hey,
why something does something and how you do something to counteract that. If it's something you need to have counteracted, or the dynamics behind why a certain thing does what it does.
Exactly.
It's mind blowing.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
And we're just actually they're just starting to scratch our brains.
Oh, it's
and getting in our head to get us interested in learning this stuff. And speaking of Dan.
Oh yeah,
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Big day Wednesday.
If you haven't noticed on our Facebook page, we've kind of been putting out there these little symbols with a date.
It's a little teaser.
But this Wednesday looks like something big is going to be coming out of PSE.
Absolutely. So
the next year's bows
is going to be debuted Wednesday. We think they're going to be segments.
We don't know any specifics, but stay tuned to that.
Turn your notification on for your Facebook page to get a notification when we update, because we're going to be live streaming from the factory in Arizona.
Yep.
We're gonna have live updates as they unveil bows.
Yes. So stay tuned for that. We're thinking all day Wednesday. There's no specific time as of right now.
Yep.
Unless we find out more, we can pass along more. But that's all we know.
That's right. So as we say in the business, stay tuned.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, that'll do it for us this week. And as we always say, if you're out in the woods or in the water,
wow.
If you're in the woods or out on the water,
shoot
straight and be safe. Until next week. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Vapor Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plot Seeds, Attractants, and Supplements,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.